So, Yassir, Saturno movement. We just got a little bit of an introduction about why it is that you have a bit of an American accent in English when you're born and raised in Barcelona. Uh, do you think you would have such a business and gone in this direction had you not had the time in the States?
Oh, definitely not. The thing is that once I got there, my major was international business, and my idea was to, work for corporate America and land a good job in which I could use my languages, since originally my parents are from Morocco. So I was thinking,
Yeah.
okay, I speak Arabic, Spanish, English. I could do something internationally. Then things changed up quite drastically. I went there. I went to the US thanks to a soccer scholarship. Then I ended up not playing not a single game because I got a tumor on my femur. So my soccer career ended, and then I started doing the rehab and researching about what to do. And then I started a YouTube channel with a couple of friends. That was back in 2009. And that channel was in Spanish. And thanks to that channel, I landed a job in Miami as a digital marketing coordinator. And from there, I just dove into the fitness world, content creation, video editing, and whatnot. And then I met with Gabo Saturno, who is my business partner. And he told me about this idea about creating an academy for calisthenics and yoga.
Yep.
And then I was on board. And from there, the business just took shape and started to evolve into a wider direction. And
how did you feel about getting started with YouTube at that time? Like it's sort of everyone considers it now, but at that stage it wasn't something that everybody was doing. It was kind of a weird thing if you had a YouTube channel, or why would you do that? Like how was it for you getting started?
We started for fun, to be honest. Yes, it was the three of us. We wanted to do a 3-month bulking program. And we thought, okay, let's just film it. We got a camera. We had no idea about how to film, how to edit, nothing. And we shared that experience. And from there, it took off. Like you said, it was not that common to be a YouTuber, so to speak, at that time, and even less in Spanish. So the channel took off, and we saw that we were getting so much attention, and that just motivated us to keep going and to keep learning about nutrition, hypertrophy, and we were gym bros back then. And we started learning about editing and graphic design. And yes, it was totally unexpected. We just tried it, we loved it, and we shared it, and it took off from there.
So do you still do a lot of the editing of your own work now? Have you continued to develop those skills of videography and editing, or is it something that you outsource more at this stage?
Yes, right now I'm currently doing all the edits. Back when I was in the US, we had Fabian, who's the main editor, and we would just delegate that to him.
Yeah.
But even then, I always liked that part of the craft. It opened my mind to new ideas, how to film, how to transmit a message, or to make it more clear by using anatomy graphics and arrows, movement, like just making the video so easy to understand. And yeah, I mean, it's been 10 years and there's always something new coming up. And
Yeah.
with knowing how Photoshop works, how Premiere works, I mean, the options are endless. So it's a creative playground.
Yeah. Yeah. It goes with part of the thrust of uncommon success is that you should have an area of specialization athletically. You should have an area of specialization in terms of money, business skills,
Right.
and you should also have something else that's interesting about you, that you learn languages or you play chess or that you're good at debating or you're something along those lines. And my hypothesis is, because it's still pretty new with this program, is that if you continue to develop those three things, like, you'll have a good life, and you share them with other men who have similar persuasion. That thing of being a video editor, like, it makes a ton of sense if you can have that ability. But it's not the only way. Like, if you, for example, are great at copywriting, or you're great at sales, or if you're great at integrating AI into fitness, or, there's always a new door or another opportunity opening. But it seems as though if you have like something in that realm that you enjoy and that you're becoming good at in the same way as you pursue your athletic ability, then your chances of not being a struggling personal trainer and being one who really gets to live the best of this life, or put their athletic skills on show. What would you say to that? Like, you've been through this journey now the last 10 years plus, nearly 15.
Yes. What will be the question there, Keegan?
The idea of that you should have some business stability, like, or something on the richer side of things. So some sort of high profit skill, some sort of profitable skill, where if you wanted to, I guess you could work as a digital marketing. You got some experience with that, where someone actually wanted to hire you for your ability with the video editing and understanding digital marketing. The fact that you had that means that you can do that for yourself, and then you really can get more freedom than a lot of coaches or guys who love to train can kind of get to. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like nowadays, since I mean, everything that we see is on, like, the connections that we make, just like how we connected, it was through social media. So the fact that you're building a digital business, social media presence has to be there. And what makes you stand out on social media? First, I mean, you need to have a notion of how to film yourself, how to edit, the knowledge. I mean, information, social media is filled with information. So how are you going to say the same thing, but infused with your personality? So getting comfortable with being in front of a camera, doing a podcast. If you're not comfortable showing yourself, your face, you can go the audio route. If you're not comfortable with that, you can go the writing route. So you have so many options to exploit whatever you want to offer. And I think that's a big one, to become aware of what's your strength there. Is it video? Is it writing? Or is it audio? I think just picking one of those three is a good starting point. So you can just dig deeper and sharpening those skills on one of those three areas.
Yeah.
For instance, I would say that my strength is more video than writing, even though so many videos are coming off of a script. But I would rather just improvise a video than writing a script. And then the video ends up being too long, and then you need to chop off so much from it. So it goes back to a script is more efficient. So now I'm sharpening my writing skills. You might come back to one of those three areas, but if you want to dive deep into one of those, I think that's a good start.
And with the training side of things, the combination of calisthenics and yoga is something very unique as well. How did that come about?
Yes. Well, that combination is what Gabo, my partner, my business partner is he practices yoga, calisthenics, hand balancing. He's got those 3 disciplines besides mobility and many others. I'm more of towards the athletic type of training, since my background is in sports, in soccer, and then I combine that with calisthenics. Later on, I don't know if you're familiar with the movement culture. I mean, they put this under that name, but even though movement is so much more than that, and just gymnastic rings as well. So it's a hybrid type of training that I'm still developing. Right now, I'm currently packing everything together into one practice, where I'm lifting weights, but I'm also doing calisthenics, but I'm also doing gymnastic rings, and I'm also doing like animal flows. So it's a bit of a combination of all of that. And yeah, managing the volume intensities, so it's actually a sustainable practice, and not just you get destroyed one day and you need to rest a couple.
Yeah. Is that what you love most? Like, is it literally the evolution of how you want to train, or are there other forces there pushing with what you're doing?
That's a really good question, because when you have I'm talking about just my experience, given that our business is related to training. The conversation came up where I needed to pick where to direct my own practice, since if I'm going to be coaching on a certain discipline, well, I should just walk the walk and actually teach by own experience. And a part of me wants to include all of those practices that I just mentioned. And however, business wise, it would be a smart move to niche down into a couple. In this case, I'm actually writing a specialized program on gymnastic rings. So it's targeted towards those who want to train with rings that don't necessarily want to become gymnasts, but want to get the best out of rings, because it's such a versatile piece of equipment that is very, very useful. And you can squeeze a lot more than that you would typically see of the exercises that 18-year-olds can do, but not the 35, 40, 45 who's got a family, who's got kids. So how to scale that down and make it useful. That's where I'm focusing right now. And once I'm done with that program, I'm just going to deviate into a different direction. But for my own practice, I just keep honing my skills on those different areas.
Yeah. So at times it's like necessary to follow a path because it fits the business, but it's all fun stuff anyway. And you have other, there's carryover sometimes that can be fun to see as well, right? When you focus on one thing and then all of a sudden something else is better. Have you,
yes.
Is there anything that jumps to mind with that, where you kind of surprise yourself of, I've been working a lot on the barbell and then all of a sudden a bodyweight movement, or vice versa?
Oh, yes, absolutely. In this case, to bring it back to the rings, just the fact of seeking that stability there makes all the floor exercises a lot easier. And I could see that instantly from doing like a 6-month period where I was doing purely just gymnastic rings and trying out pike push-ups or handstand presses and feeling my scapula a lot more stable. And that's one example. Then going from barbell lifts into high jumps, for instance, like going from doing explosive squats with weight and then testing my high jump and seeing how it increased. I mean, it's an obvious one, but yeah, you've seen those transferability aspects, and sometimes they're a complete mystery. Like you want to know what is it that I did that transferred to this, and it's very, sometimes it's tricky to actually pin down what was the one.
100%. But that some of that mystery is fun too. I can't imagine being like a 3 lifts kind of a guy and everything just comes back to those 3. It's like with the shifting target, you work really hard on something and then it's not as interesting and you shift to something else. And then personally, I would rather be like that than be able to say, oh yeah, I benched this, I deadlifted this, and I squatted that. Like it's for each
Yeah.
person to decide, but I love that it has become much more varied over the last decade, especially. And Ido Portal has had a huge influence on that, but the internet in general has just diversified. Okay, you can do weightlifting, but then also do parkour and tricking, and you see those kind of group guys. Juju Mufu is a really good example of like breaking down barriers and then building a business out of it. I think it's a great time for someone to be 15, 16 years old and getting into training from the perspective that there's no real barriers anymore, and the even the names of the disciplines and such. I really wonder what's going to happen to that differentiation, because it does seem as though there's more blending, and even into jiu-jitsu as well, and combat. Like the thing that Ido was kind of hypothesizing has happened, or on many levels in many different ways, without any real rules. And I think it's a good thing. It was a really sterile world of training in the 90s. You couldn't get a good gym. There wasn't really interesting places to train, and it was difficult to find information. Now, the physical facilities are also reflecting this, where there's physical facilities that have all of these possibilities. And what's it like where you're training physically at the moment?
Right now,
are you training out of
yes. Right now, what I'm doing is barbell lifts as well as body weight movements, having 3 skills mainly, which would be handstand push-ups, one-arm chin-ups, and I'm training those, mixing weighted calisthenics, so weighted chin-ups, weighted dips. I'm doing also deadlifts, squats. And in terms of lower body, I'm doing this bi-weekly tests where I run 1.5 kilometers and see how fast I can do it. So I'm including running fast. Yeah, in a nutshell, would be running fast, jumping high, lifting heavy. Those would be, and balancing. That fourth element would be balance, with hand balancing, or it's either hand balancing or balancing on my feet with rails. Yes, walking on rails, pistol squats on rails.
In a way, you could say it's like all the hardest stuff combined together. And
yes,
it's
pretty
like,
much.
Do you ever ask yourself, like, why do I make it so hard for myself? I could easily have a great physique doing a lot less stuff.
Yeah, a big one is being able to play with my daughter. That's just being able to lift her effortlessly and just keep up with her energy. that's a big motivation there. Her energy is just limitless, and seeing how as I get old, I mean, I'm 32, but I'm already seeing the difference between being in your 20s and being in your 30s. And even though I'm feeling stronger and more fit, so to say, I see how it just gets tougher. The sleep has to be dialed in. A recovery, it'll take you twice as much, or it takes me twice as much to recover. And if not now, when? if this is not going to get any easier, so I better just get on it now. And also I'll also have this thought of, I'm doing this so I can get this, but also enjoy the process. Like, I'm practicing stuff that I am enjoying. It's not just being completely driven by preparing my body for something that never happened, but actually I'm just enjoying my practice and playing with the options that I have right now.
Yeah. Love it. There's a question here from Chris: with yoga and calisthenics having very strong cultures, how do you adjust your content, if at all, to bring it to greater public? Or do you try to bring them into your hybrid culture where the two worlds harmonize?
Sorry, it broke up there, Keegan.
Okay. Yeah. The question is basically, I mean, it's in the chat there. I'm not sure if you can see, but he's asking if, with your audience, like if you're targeting people who do yoga and who do calisthenics, do you vary your content to target them, or is it that you just introduce your hybrid kind of method and they come to you in a way?
I see. Yes, we've ran ads. We tried doing the hybrid thing where we tell them that in our academy they have access to multiple programs in calisthenics, yoga, hand balancing, mobility. That's the ad that we ran the most. We didn't niche down to targeting just people who want to do yoga, just people who want to do calisthenics. We tried. We did specific ads for those audiences, and it ended up, the other ad ended up working. Like, we ran tests, A/B tests, and we saw that the hybrid was working. I guess people want to have options on, especially when it comes to an online academy where you have different programs. And even though you like calisthenics, but since Gabo's practice and my practice are not so specific, the audience that we're attracting is already open to practicing more than one thing. So I guess that's why it worked. Would I recommend someone to do it specific or the hybrid thing? I would say run tests, and you'll clearly see what's working.
Makes sense. Where are you headed next with the business? Like, what's the next thing you're excited about adding, developing?
Yes. Well, we are developing the app. It's been a process. It's been a journey to get the app out. It's so much work. I mean, I've probably the whole team aged 10 years just creating this app.
One of my developers is on the call here at the moment, and we've been talking about this.
Yeah. I saw that you were creating your app as well, or you launched it maybe. Yes, we're about to launch it in 7 weeks, and it's been a process of more than 2 years of work to package everything from a design perspective, from the user experience. So that's on the shorter term. Longer term would be to build a filming studio here. So we have our current studio is in Miami, where Gabo, my partner, is there with the team, and the idea is to create another one here in Barcelona. So
to improve the quality of your, improve the quality of your content, or is there other uses for the studio in Barcelona specifically?
Yes, the idea would be to improve the content, to have a space, to have the space for a team because
Yeah,
currently
yeah,
I'm filming all by myself, and
yeah,
I'm going to a CrossFit gym where they're very nice and they give me all the freedom to film all the content that I want. But
yeah,
ideally, you want to have your own space where the lights are already set up, the camera's set up. It makes everything so much easier.
yeah, 100%. What advice would you have for coaches who are thinking they want to have their own app? This is a discussion I've been having with my developers.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
At what point do you think it makes sense now, having been through the journey of building one? And
I would say have your own app if you have well, the first one, if you have the means to invest in an app, because it's definitely not something that's pocket change. So yeah, that's the first one. Then before creating your own app, I would test out the services that you are providing via web or via an app that gives you a template, just to test out if you have a traffic or you have a volume of clients sales that is going to sustain the production of an app. Like
yeah,
it needs to make sense. But diving into an app when you don't even know if the service that you're providing is a sustainable business, that's a risky move, in my opinion.
yeah, yeah, I did it. Yeah, I did
Mhm.
it in 2017. 2016 was the first time I had to try out my own app. It was through um, a friend's company that was building apps, and it
Uh-huh.
was like $40,000, and it
Yeah.
didn't really end up doing very much. And it was partly because things changed with my business and direction. I was launching a franchise of gyms, or like licensed gyms, and it didn't go to plan. And so the app would have needed a lot more work, and it would have taken a lot more time, but it was a big chunk of money that came quite early in the journey of a new venture at the time. And I was early in business, and everything I'd done in business up to that point had worked quite well. So that was like pretty tough to go through that experience.
Right.
But even from the focus side of things, like take out the money, the focus side of things, if you want to really build an app, like you're probably going to have to put quite a lot of attention and focus and feedback. Just because people know how to build an app technically doesn't mean they are going to solve for the problem that you're really looking to solve. How did you go with sourcing like developers, and were you working closely with the developers, or was it more other members of your team, or together? What's the process been like there?
Yes, we're working directly with the developer. That he has his own team, and
Yep.
he heard our proposal and he was on board. So it's more of a collaborative type of work
Yep.
rather than outsourcing where here is a job, we pay this, and you create the app. He was on board
Yep.
with us
Yep.
with the project. So that changes things a bit because the involvement of him and his team is different than because obviously he wants this to succeed. He's
Mhm.
in it as well, rather than someone who you're hiring and you
Yep.
don't know if they're gonna end up making it work or not. It's just so in terms of developers, we were lucky on that one because on the web we on the web creation we were not. We had 4 developers and it was quite a disaster, and so we just created out ourselves. And but with the app, yeah, we were lucky on that one because it's not easy to find someone who sees the vision, who sees what you want to create, and you can find a few of them that will tell you yes, everything is possible, and you end up finding that the app just has I don't know how many bugs and it doesn't work or it breaks down. And once you have an app, you need to just like you said, you need to stay on top of it because people are accessing it, and it needs to work flawlessly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Huh.
It's a big undertaking, and I think what you're saying is good advice. Good for consider twice before you take the jump. The way
Absolutely.
that we've done it with our app is a web app, so it effectively functions once you have it on your home screen. You open it and it feels just like having an app out of the App Store, but it's an app that you download. And so that's allowed us to have it live and to iterate. And we're using um, the technology that we're using allows us to iterate a lot faster than we would be able to if we were building on, traditionally. So we're kind of halfway there to having that, a custom built app. But to me, with the problem we're solving, I really don't think we could have done it any other way. It's quite a different sort of tool that we're building. That's not like other training apps, and the functionality is different. And so there's no one path with it. And I think there are opportunities also if someone's hearing this and they have the background in software development, it could be similar to how you've gone at things from the video editing and creation pathway. It could work well if you have that software focus and you really love training and you want to put a lot of energy into building a beautiful app at the same time as developing yourself with training. I think there's a sweet spot there, but it's probably not most coaches who are going to do that.
Yes, that's right. It's just like you said, it's finding that sweet spot of seeing what you want to delegate, what you want to offer, the problem that you're solving, and making it a viable solution rather than just hanging yourself up into a project that it's demanding too much, both economically and energy wise. Because I mean, it's a big project. To have an app is a big project. Yeah,
I would agree. I don't know if Sebastian wants to add anything there. We've been having this discussion. He's here with me. So we're in Montenegro, and this is part of the project. One thing is building an app, which is tough. And then another thing is building physical villages to run events and where your players in the game can come physically. Niels, who you can see there with the Niels Nürnberger, he's just headed back to Germany. He was here for the last 10 days or so. So part of the idea with this new project is that you have physical training experiences in the same location and you get to mastermind about your business development, building a village and building an app, as well as having a young family is definitely keeps things interesting. There's never a boring moment. But what's your experience and interaction with your audience been like? Because you have a big following and a lot of people you've changed the way they train and how they think about life. And training is not a superficial thing. Like when you get a different experience of your body, like you really have a different experience of life from that point forward. So you've no doubt changed many people's experience quite deeply. Do you have you had much face-to-face interaction, events? Share a bit about the physical interaction of having a digital business.
Yes. That's actually one of the things that I miss the most, because for the past 4 years, the business has been run digitally. So there's no that face-to-face, in-person contact, which makes it just, you can't replace that. It's just completely different. And I used to do that before getting started with this business. I used to do boot camps and training groups, training individuals, one-on-one coaching, and just seeing the person right there next to you doing the exercise and moving differently, hearing how that affected their life, just posture wise, or just confident wise, like how confident they feel on the day-to-day of doing just the regular day-to-day stuff, or picking up their child, or just going to play soccer if they invite them, or that's very touching, and that's something that you get, but in a different way. When your business is digitally, you get either a video, a testimonial, or a review, and yeah, it makes you feel thankful that your work is being received, and people actually are practicing what you're preaching, and that it's having an effect. However, you're losing that personal touch of having that person in front of you. So one of the plans is to do workshops here in Europe as well as in the US after we launch the app. That would be the third big project, because we're missing that. And you can get comfortable hiding behind a camera and just
100%.
giving out, oh, these are the exercises that you should do, these are, and you lose that immediate feedback that you can give someone who's doing a movement right in front of you. And yes, that is something that is needed 100%. So I'm loving what you're doing there, because you're gathering, I'm guessing, a lot of people together into a village, and just the energy that moves that is you can feel that.
Yeah, it's something special. That's my business started in 2014. I sold 12 weeks online with 4 days face to face. That was the first offer I put out. It was a couple $1,000s. And at the time I was working in professional rugby, and I had no idea about online business marketing or anything. I just put some tweets out about training stuff and some Facebook. And then I put this offer out, and I thought the 12 weeks online was kind of the main part of it, because I was putting a lot of effort into these presentations. But it turned out that when we had those 4 days face to face, those men who came to that first event, there's some of them are still kind of best friends, and they go and visit each other. They travel across the country to see each other on a regular basis. And they all went from, a group of them went from no gym, not really sure where they're going in life, just young men finding their path, to one of the best gyms in town, and, really dominating in something. And it was a real shock. Like, I just kind of thought I was going to do something like what I did in the rugby world. And then it turns out, this is quite different. And so those events were the foundation of the business for 5 years or so. Everyone, it was about coming to these 4-day things, and we would train really hard and eat together and just have a really personal experience and form connections. And then I went fully online, and it was such a big change, man. Like, all of a sudden it's just like people's names and chat boxes, and you don't actually know anyone anymore. And then COVID, of course, like that was starting to happen just before COVID. And we sold our house in Australia, and we left Australia in 2019. And I wanted to go live in Costa Rica and just try something different. We lived in Australia for nearly 10 years, and my wife is German, so we kind of already had international connections. I traveled a lot in my 20s, so it's like, okay, new life. And then COVID, so okay, no travel, and fully online again. And so that really solidified for me of, okay, I want to build physical locations around the world, and it's going to make it easy for me to meet other people, but I want the people in my program to be able to go and spend time with each other and see what happens with that. Like, it's all an experiment. And it's not easy. We're building in Montenegro, and Vanuatu is another location which is less developed than Montenegro. Montenegro is sort of Croatia 20 years ago, and Vanuatu is like Fiji 50 years ago. But we've already had amazing experiences there. It's not the polished training locations that I'm looking for, but those experiences that come out of your business, I think, are the big wins. I see you making some content with your children, with your daughter. For me, like, seeing my children playing with the guys that come here, and different accents and different skills, like, that is really a rich part of my experience. Where do you see your daughter growing into this journey? And I see the challenges you put up the other day. Am I going to do this challenge again? And where does that fit within your business?
You mean my daughter to my business?
Yeah, like the vision for your family, how does it interact
Yeah,
with your business? I think is a big question that men who are like us, you're entrepreneurial, you're getting after it, but at the same time, there's this other gentle side and this, you bringing up the family, and they do really interact quite a lot when you have this sort of lifestyle.
for sure.
Mm.
Yes, yes. That's one of the questions that I ponder on my mind daily. It's how much time do you dedicate to the business, and how much time do you put into the family?
Mm.
Um, and especially now, this past year, I've been working from home, so my daughter is here a lot, as
Mhm.
well as my wife. So having them in the background and me being focused on work, and my daughter wanting some attention and telling her, no, I'm working right now, and pushing her away, that makes you feel something. It's okay, I'm here, but at the same time, um, my daughter wants attention, and is she gonna feel uh, rejected? Or so you got to be very mindful of what you're doing here, because you can get lost into, I'm just gonna work and I'm doing this for you, when it could be also a coping mechanism of, I'm just gonna dive into my thing and go in warrior mode, and my role is to provide for the family, and that's another way of providing the family as well. So you can get lost in that connection of having time for them, having time for yourself, and having time with the business, especially when it's digital, where you can just work 24/7 if you want. And if
That's the
it's
thing that,
from
yeah,
home, even worse if you're working from home, because yeah, there is no switch off button unless you put it.
it looks like a fairy tale, right? The everyone, the YouTube ads about work for yourself and never have a boss again, and they get a lot of clicks. There's a big business around this thing, but
Yeah.
you have to realize that it's not an easy thing. If you love what you do and you carry your business with you everywhere, then it's potentially, it's easy to work a lot more than someone who works a 9 to 5 Monday to Friday. When someone sort of has weekends off, it's like almost a foreign idea. Like I forget that someone works like that. Um,
Yes.
but
Yeah.
I wouldn't have it any other way. And so it's, yeah,
Yeah,
it's
it's the,
always
the
a,
the pros and cons of having your own, building your own thing.
Mhm.
Yes.
Do you consciously shift between, like, do you have to sort of make an effort of, okay, like now I'm going back to the family version of me versus the person you need to be when you're getting shit done in the business?
Y- yes. I'm still practicing that.
Yeah.
Yes, it's an ongoing practice on, okay, now it's the working Yassir, and now it's the father, and now it's the partner, and now it's the it's very hard to switch between those roles, um, especially when you integrate, let's say, filming content when you are with them, and just because you're in an amazing location and you're thinking, okay, I mean, I should take advantage of this. So you see yourself there filming a video and when you're on vacation. So yeah, it's a tough one. It's a tough one to, you need to have your priorities very clear, and also set certain boundaries of, okay, today I'm just going to do this for an hour, and then the rest I'm just with them fully. I'm
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
even just going to get into content creation or open emails, or, and that helps a lot, because otherwise you'll just be checking in constantly, and you're not fully working, and you're not fully with them either, so you're not present on either of those two places.
you can definitely have that with the worst of both worlds. Not doing good work, but you also feel like you can't relax and have fun and be in that
Right.
time. It's for sure part of the game, and always in flux, with the children always changing, their position in life, and the travel, the business changing. Sometimes the business is like, well, we really need to improve things at the moment. Like, this is a really high priority. And then 2 months
Mhm.
later, you've had that improvement, and it's like, oh, I'm still feel the same way. And
Yes.
it's,
Yeah, that totally resonate that with that.
yeah,
Uh,
that's I
yeah, that,
think also part of why I like connecting, guys to each other in this, to realize you're not alone in this. We all, we battle with these challenges, and to be able to reflect with somebody external to it, if you're in conflict with your environment, getting another perspective of, okay, yeah, I've been through the same thing. This is how I deal with it. This is what changed. This is what worked for me. Uh,
yes. And you can also trick yourself with thinking that you're doing this for them. Because I mean, yeah, you're building a business, and so yeah, I need to work right now. So later on, we're fine, or we have this economical stability, and you can always trick yourself into, no, but this is important. This is important, or this is just a period of time.
yeah,
And just like you said, I mean, you need to put out that fire, and then another one comes up, and 3 months later, another one comes up.
yeah.
And you don't, yeah, it's a vicious circle that you can get stuck on.
You also have the push now. It's kind of the man that does the cooking and changes the nappies, and with the way that gender roles have been changed over the last 50 years, it's not there's a lot of pressure on the woman as well to have a career and to make money, and to also, play the traditional man's role, and the man is pressured to play the traditional woman's role. And then it's a lot of men that I speak to, they're like, their goal is to be able to have 100% of their time with their family. And when someone says that to me, I'm like, well, I don't think that's a good goal. Like, what are your children going to grow up to aspire to if you're just there kind of hanging out with them? Like, is
Mhm.
that really anything that they should, aspire to? So there is that side of, they see me working, and I like that they see I really work hard, and I explain to them about what I'm doing. And now they get to meet these men that I've been working with online, and they hear from their perspective of new things that they can do, or how their lives have changed. And it's like, you have to kind of show them the fight that you go through as well. I think, especially for my son, and for the path that he's going to go on. I still, view the man and the woman as having different roles, and I know it's a somewhat controversial for some people these days, but um, yeah, the giving yourself permission to work is also a good thing as a father, and being okay with, right, I'm gonna do this. Because if this business wasn't working for you, maybe you would have to go away. And in Australia, many men go and work in mines, and they're away for 2 weeks, and then they come back for a week, and then, these kinds of lives. So I offer that as an alternative of, like, it's kind of always been like this. And
Mm.
if you have to do it in the same physical location, don't you shouldn't feel guilt all the time, I guess, is the main thing. Is like,
Yeah.
if it's that time that you work hard. Do you celebrate as a family with the success that you have in the business? Do you
Oh,
do you
yes.
feel as though there's, yeah,
Yeah, yeah, there's a big support.
yeah,
My wife has been, since day one, she's been supporting that. And in fact, when we moved here, the deal was to move here, and she would be taking care of our daughter and everything that in regards to the house, to doing the accounting, everything. So I could actually focus on this for a period of time, and then she would begin with her own project. So yeah, her support has been tremendous. And like you said, going through the struggle and living that as a family, it just uh, so important. It's critical, because you can disregard everything as, oh, it's so easy. Oh, it's just, you forget You can get comfortable easy when you see a paycheck week to week coming in, and yeah, just not not going through the hardship of having to work hard for it. And yeah, it's just a very easy way to get comfortable and to forget that it's a blessing that you are able to do this. Because you could be, either working for someone else, which is fine. But if you want to build your own thing, you're probably going to be looking for your way out, either with a side hustle or just not being there as present and seeing how you can build your own thing. But once you're in it, once you are living off of the business that you've built, you gotta keep getting creative, keep reinventing yourself to keep growing the business, because it's not gonna grow by itself, and that takes work and energy. And you'll end up working a lot more than 9 to 5, that's for sure.
I had that conversation recently with a young man, 21-year-old from England, and he was like, I want to make this online training thing work as a business so that I can go and travel and kind of live an easy life. And I was like, yeah, there's a lot of people who are thinking like that, and it's very unlikely that you're going to get to a point where an online training business is going to be fully automated and it's going to keep making you money, because it's very competitive. And there are a lot of men who are, and businesses that are very, very well developed and very serious, and they're advertising and they're training, and it's a competitive industry. If you want to make money, like, this is probably one of the worst industries, I would say, to set your sights, not because there's no money there, but because it is very competitive, and the barrier to entry is so low. And so he actually decided right then and there that he was going to work on other skills. And so he's interested in learning about sales. He's interested in learning about AI, and he wants to go and pursue just straight up business things, because honestly, he didn't want to be an online trainer. And thinking of, okay, I'm going to build an online fitness business as a way to make life easy, I wouldn't recommend that. Can you do it? Is it fun? If you love it, then yeah, like, I can't imagine myself doing anything else.
Right.
But the easy path, I wouldn't say that's the path that we've chosen.
Yes, it kind of goes back to if we tie it back to training, it's like having a training, like it's a means to an end. And in this case, I'm gonna open an online business just so I can live an easy life. Well, if you don't like the process, if you're not enjoying, if you're not putting skin in the game, and I'm saying enjoying, but enjoying doesn't mean that it's going to be rainbows every day. I mean, you're going to go through tough days and tough months, years even. And if you're not doing something that you're passionate about, and that thing can switch also, because I mean, the message of find your passion is also one that I don't know about that, because your passion can be, you can go into something and find out that out of that you enjoy more this other thing, and just going through the journey is going to be very revealing. So being mindful of that and just going for it, and without thinking about it's going to be easy later on. I think that's a good mindset to have.
What would you say is the most challenging part of the process of the journey for you?
Right now, I would say since the beginning of the business, I've been working with with my team, having a location, having, I mean, the team, I said team, but I mean, they're like my brothers and my business partners, like also the closest thing to family I have. And working by myself, going solo during this period has been probably the toughest thing that I've gone through in the business, as well as having periods where the business wasn't doing so well, and just pushing through, having faith in what you're gonna launch next, and just having that mental toughness of yeah, we're not doing well now, but I believe in what we're working on. I believe in the vision of this project. So believing in what you're doing is a big one. And what makes you believe in it? I guess that's the question that pops in my mind. Okay, I believe in this, but why? And being confident, and confidence also comes from evidence. And if it has been working well, having a website, and everyone is asking for an app, and you've put your everything into building this app that is not, has features that you haven't found because you did your proper research, well, you've got pretty high chances that it's going to go well because you've been putting the work in. And delayed gratification at its best. It's like putting work for 2 years and then seeing what's going to happen. So that's what gives us that faith that it's going to work, even though the business is not going so well.
If you know you can iterate as well, like if you know you're going to persist and you know you're going to, then it sort of doesn't matter in a way. Like
right.
I've also had those times of like, okay, it's not really working at the moment, but I'm going to keep going anyway. And eventually it's going to work. Like something is going to,
Yes. Going through periods where you've had this obstacle, but you ended up finding a solution for it. Like you end up figuring things out. And the more you go through those obstacles, the more faith you have in yourself and the team that you've built around that, hey, we're going to go through this. We're going to find a solution. We'll make it happen. And you see that that's the reality that you're creating. Like you're figuring things out and you just overcome that hurdle and keep going.
Yeah, love it. I think this is a good conversation for other coaches to hear, because you look at someone like yourself and you see, okay, he's been in business for a long time and built a lot of things and got the audience, but there's still all the same things with the family, with continuing on with the business and with dealing with the ups and downs. It's always there, and if you can embrace that, then you get to the other side. You always will. Like there's always a solution, and I think if you keep your mind on something, you're always gonna solve it. That's my experience. That there's always a way through to the other side. The thing is that some will choose to not focus and not continue to focus on that same challenge, and the alternative of not having a project that you really love, for me, that's unbearable. I think whether you work for somebody else or whether you have a full-time job, I feel as though every man should have a project that they're developing, even if it doesn't have to be financial, but something that you really believe in, that you're putting your heart into, that you're proud of, that you want to tell your children about. That's for me a fundamental. And yeah, I love seeing what you've done there and sharing the journey that you've been on so far. I did want to ask you as well, like, did you ever consider the soccer side of things, because you had that, you got a scholarship and you had an injury? Like, did you ever consider applying your strength training knowledge and mobility and such to that world? Is that something that you've done?
I did think about it. However, it didn't didn't match with the business that we were creating.
Yeah.
So yes, it was too far out there to go from calisthenics to strength and conditioning for soccer players. It was a hard one to tie in together.
Yeah.
However, it's still there on the horizon. Once we open up more practices in the movement academy, we do want to put out programs for, let's say, sport specific programs. But that's something, yeah, that's a project that's way out there.
Good. Yeah, it's good to have those things that are way out there as well. Though, like for me, the thing of having physical locations was way out there, and then it was like, let's just do it. You know, during COVID, it was like, okay, let's just do it. And I don't think we would have started if it wasn't for COVID. But now a year later, here we are. We've had 20 plus visitors. The other location has, you know, beachfront bungalows in Vanuatu, and it literally came from that thing of what if we can, and
yeah,
finding a way to start is key. You know, finding a level that you can start on, because there's something very powerful about being in motion and having the possibility open for whatever comes next. Have you thought about building more of a local team, or do you have some guys that you train with there locally? Because it sounds like that's been a tough part for you, like moving away from Miami. Like, is it in your mind to sort of look to recreate in some way in Barcelona?
Yes, that's the idea. Have some people in mind that would be a great fit to have as a team, as team members. But yes, it's still something that it's
if it's going to be part of the business and stuff, then it's big moves. But having other crew to kind of train with and vibe with and such sounds like that's something that a lot of you can easily underestimate as well. It's probably a big part of why you've been able to do something so great, is that you had this vibe, but you could see it clearly in the videos, like the energy that you have there together.
Yes.
So yeah, have you noticed that with content? Like, is it different to create that energy yourself, being at a distance, that the content creation game changed?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, creating something by yourself, as opposed to having the team around it. Like you have Fabian, who's filming you, Gabo right next to me, because it's a video where we both appear and we're just both interacting. In compared to having just the tripod and two cameras and just you looking at two cameras, it's completely different. It's a challenge. It's also a creative challenge. You know, what we were talking about, you find a way. And in this case, when I was here and I was thinking, okay, how am I gonna shoot the next YouTube video by myself? Like, how is this gonna happen? And then I bought a slider so the camera could pan in and move automatically, and then just put a second shot on a tripod. And yeah, it just forces you to think about things differently and think of different solutions that you didn't have to think about before. And it's the same mentality of that, the same mindset that you apply to this specific task or scenario is the one that you put into the whole business. Like, you think of ways to make it work.
100%. I love it. Well, yeah, I really appreciate you, giving us this opportunity, sharing the journey so far, and it'd be cool to reconnect once the app comes out and hear a bit more about the breakthrough on the other side. It's
Sure.
It sounds like it's been similar to my experience with apps, that it's a lot of work, and yeah, it's going to be fun to hear how you're finding it on the other side. And yeah, I appreciate the chance to connect, man. And a lot of guys are sort of competitive, or don't want to share their secrets and such, but you've been really open about your journey to where you got to today, and I think it gives other coaches more power to get after it and build the thing that they want to build. Ultimately, like, that's I think what we're all here for, to build something cool, and you're definitely doing that. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Keegan. Anytime. Yeah. Happy to do this again.
Thanks to those who jumped in live. It's always good to see others, and I think there's something different about it when you feel the energy of a live conversation, even if it's at a distance. And if you listen back to the recording as well, I hope you enjoyed this one and got something out of it. We'll speak again soon. Maybe we'll have a training camp here in Montenegro or in your Barcelona setup one day in the future. I'll get into my training a bit more, level up, so I'm ready. But, yeah. Thank you, brother. We speak soon.
Thank you. Thanks, Keegan.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, everyone.